Hello everyone, I'm Meenakshi Sundaram, product marketer for Zoho World. I'll be your host for this session. Today we'll be talking about the existing concerns about passwords and the growing need for password management solutions across businesses in detail. We'll start off a session with an introduction to passwords, how they'd come into existence, the common methods of authentication used now, and also about the future of passwords. We'll then analyze the password habits of people around the globe and why proper password hygiene is essential in preventing imminent cyber threats. We'll also discuss about the current laws related to password management and how a password manager could be the ideal solution to all your password related worries. So let's get started. Way before the invention of computers, it's said that the Roman military reportedly used passwords. They needed the mechanism to distinguish a friend from a foe. Later, in the 1960s, Fernando Corbato introduced the idea of passwords to computer science. Since computers had limited access time back then, the concept of passwords was developed to let users access just their files for an allotted 4 or 5 hour period every week. This was later the foundation that gained traction across enterprises to secure their sensitive data because the concept of passwords was quite simple. And again, later we had different processes in place like hashing. For example, hashing is the process by which a string of characters gets transformed into a numerical code that represents the original phrase. Now, the modern password databases can also employ salting to further encrypt a password, whereby random data is inserted before the password and then the resulting string gets hashed. This has the effect of not having to store the actual password in the password database. So, as years pass by, we now have multiple authentication methods to pick from. Some commonly used authentication methods that you come across on a daily basis are listed on your screen here. They range from your passwords which you would regularly use, a token-based authentication, single sign-on, and also your biometrics like voice recognition, fingerprint, facial recognition, iris scanner, and all such authentication methods. While many analysts believe that passwords would be replaced soon due to their flawed mechanisms, let's see if their claims are valid and how soon we can expect passwords to be replaced. Replaced completely, I mean. A simple answer to that question would be not in the foreseeable future. Why, you ask? There are about 5.6 billion active email accounts that depend on passwords for their ease of use, and it's also estimated that about 100 billion human and 200 billion machine passwords need protection by 2020, which is your next year. We're over reliant on passwords because of their ease of use and also because it's adopted across the world. While biometrics are definitely gaining traction, they're quite expensive to implement across enterprises and they aren't foolproof either. For example, your passwords aren't dependent on the device you access them from, like your biometrics. Hence, you can access your accounts from wherever you are with your password. Another critical functionality of passwords is its flexibility, allowing you to update it as and when required or even when it gets compromised, which certainly is not the case with biometrics because if your biometric data gets compromised, there's not much of an option to go for a reset, is there? Simply put, passwords are here to stay, and so are biometrics, but with biometrics acting as a complementary factor of authentication, as a second factor of authentication, and not as a primary form of authentication method. While passwords continue to play a major role in our lives, it's essential to keep them secure. The current password management methods that are followed by the users, however, tell us how much we lack in this respect because proper password management is key to securing all business and individual passwords. Apparently, the average email address in the US is associated with at least 130 online accounts. It's pretty tough to keep track of all these accounts, let alone remember their passwords. And this is a key reason which often pushes users to reuse passwords across all their accounts. Again, not everyone creates complex passwords, but there are a few who do create complex passwords. But those who still create passwords which are complex to remember resort to simple and secure ways of storing them, like the ones that you're seeing on your screen. Sticky notes, spreadsheets, and text files are still shockingly some of the most common password storing methods that people use. I've heard people who tell stories about how people share passwords through Excels and text files still in their companies, which is quite shocking to hear because it just hands over sensitive information across different people in the organization and nobody has track of it. And also storing your passwords in sticky notes, spreadsheets, text files, and other unsecure methods serve no purpose if you have a strong passwords written on them, because these files and sheets are unencrypted, and any physical loss of the machine or the sticky notes could not only put your passwords at risk but also your enterprise data at stake. And a survey conducted by Digital Guardian shows that almost three-fourths of the users surveyed stored their passwords either in papers, files stored in computer, or cloud accounts, or even worse, they reuse the same passwords across multiple accounts. People with such poor password hygiene often tend to carry this behavior from their personal accounts onto the business accounts as well. And this will definitely jeopardize the security of critical enterprise data. Again, careless sharing of passwords is another very risky common trend across multiple firms. All enterprises would have critical shared passwords, if I'm not wrong. It has to be securely handled and used only on need basis. However, people still use unsecure methods to share them across to other people. You might have personally seen people sharing passwords vocally, over mail, through phone calls, or even commonly through spreadsheets via your company's chat box. What this does is it allows people who no longer need access to privileged accounts to continue having access to all these critical data even after their task gets done. This is a totally underrated security concern that again goes unnoticed. And the reason why this is really worrying is because 52% of the employees surveyed by IS Decisions see no risk in such password sharing methods, while 49% have already shared their network login details. These numbers are just so bizarre. I just hope it changes soon. Anyways, if this reflects your enterprise scenario as well, you need to ensure you put a stop to it, especially if your client's data is at stake as well. And the survey again further sheds light on the employees from different departments that were prone to sharing the passwords with other colleagues without proper access tracking mechanisms in place. So you can see that almost 1 in 4 employees from the legal, HR, IT, and finance departments, all of these departments which deal with critical data on a daily basis, these employees have acknowledged that at least one colleague of theirs knew their password, again painting a really worrying picture. If you're wondering what's the worst that can happen with a bad password or with sharing passwords through these unsecure methods, think again, because there can be a lot that can happen. The consequences can already be visibly seen from the numbers collected in a recent data breach investigation report published by Verizon in 2019. Almost 1 in 3 breaches are due to breached credentials, and more than one third of the attacks involved internal actors, so people from within the organization acting as threats for your data. That's again another important concern that you should be focusing on. 56% of the breach, out of all the breaches, almost 56 percentage of them took months or longer to be discovered. And phishing, which is one of the most common forms of attacks that's often successful, 18% of the users that clicked on these phishing links did so from mobile devices. And finally, and also the most important point out of all of these, is that 43% of the breach victims were small businesses, and they suffered the most. While no business wants to be a victim to data breach, a vast majority of enterprises still give security the least possible attention. Is a list of top breaches from recent times that you can see. Enormous amount of company data and personal details have been exposed in all these cases. And all of these companies are all top players, cause that have had irreparable damages done to their organization financially, as well as damages to their reputation. Not just these important players, you can see the overall stat here that shows the steady increase in the number of data breaches and the number of records exposed in millions just in the United States between 2005 and 2018. It's a staggering number that is already touching billions in a steady state. But if you ask me, is it just the big enterprises that the hackers target? Absolutely not, unfortunately. One in three small businesses have no tools to protect themselves from an attack. This makes them a prime target for attackers, as 70% of the attackers target small businesses. While almost 60% of these businesses that get attacked, they happen to never really recover back, which is a really, really bad statement. That should actually ensure that all small businesses start adopting security measures in place right away. More than 1 in 2 SMBs report that an average attack costs them about $500,000, while this range varies across enterprises, as you can see below. The most interesting and shocking fact here is that about 88% of these breaches are reported to be caused due to internal negligence, like failing to secure their management of passwords. Quite fascinating indeed. Now that we've seen the chaos caused by improper password hygiene, how does one keep their password secure? What makes a strong password? It's a valid concern, and it might be a question on your minds right now, and that's what we'll be seeing right now. So, according to the NIST guidelines of 2019, a password should at least be 8 characters in length. You can very much go higher, but it must be no less than 8 characters. And it would be wonderful if you can start using passphrases over passwords. Passwords tend to be generally short and hard to remember, as well as relatively easier to crack. But passphrases, on the other hand, are easier to remember and type, and they're also considered more secure due to their length. Passphrases usually tend to be long. Also, another important factor is that you don't need to write them down because you remember them easily. So, for example, instead of writing something like password at 123, which is really, really unsecure, you can just pick up random phrases, combine multiple words, string them together, and use them as your password. That will be really helpful. And moving on, recycling passwords after set number of days is a thing of the past. It's now more important that you rather check if your passwords are similar to the ones that have previously been exposed in other data breaches. You can find piles of breached passwords online, and certain websites even let you check if your chosen passwords have been breached, have been exposed in any one of the earlier breaches. So this way you can set your passwords accordingly and avoid using passwords that have already been exposed. Also, mandating users to set complex passwords only pushes them to set unsecure and easily predictable passwords. Like what I just said, passwords at 123 contains an uppercase P, your special character, as well as numeric letters, but it's not going to do you any good because it doesn't increase your security. Rather, it makes you really vulnerable. So the mandating process of setting complex passwords, that has been that isn't advised anymore. And finally, avoid setting password hints as much as possible, as they can be easily identified by outsiders. Let's say I know you as a person and I know your birthday. It's easier for me to guess your date of birth if you set what is my birthday as your security question or something similar to that, right? So try avoiding those. Okay, so that's probably a lot to take in and quite difficult to follow and also implement as an individual. It might be a little difficult for you, But here's the thing, you don't have to do all of this by yourself, because it's easier if you adopt a password manager, something that helps you get this done. Interesting. What can a password manager do, you ask? A lot, actually. A password manager can generate and remember complex passwords for you, so you can store unique passwords for every online account or any account that you sign up to. And this helps you avoid reusing your passwords across multiple online accounts, which will indeed put all other accounts in risk if just one of your accounts get breached, right? So you wouldn't want that to happen. So if you adopt to a password manager, they will help you to generate and remember complex passwords. It'll simplify authentication to websites by autofilling passwords and logging you into websites in a single click. So whatever password whatever username and password you store in your password manager, you can just use them to auto log into websites, as your password manager tool will autofill those username and password details onto the website that you want to log into. It'll just populate the stuff and also auto log you into such websites, simplifying your work. It also lets you share passwords securely with different individuals and teams. Also allows you to capture audit logs of every action you perform inside your password vault. Let's say I'm viewing a password that my teammate has shared with me. If I click on view or copy or any action, it would keep a track of all the actions that have been performed in the vault, and it will give a clear picture as to who's accessed what password at what time. And finally, it also helps you with resetting your passwords in a single click. So you can also rest assured that your passwords can automatically be reset from your password vault in single clicks, so you don't have to go to individual accounts and then update your new password and then come back and store it in your password vault as well. It's simply put, it's a handy tool that can safeguard your enterprise passwords and sensitive data, and also help keep your business active, all while increasing the productivity of your users. Okay, now apart from the security and productivity features that a password manager can give you, companies also think about the legal and regulatory compliance related stuff that comes in with data management, right? Every company would need to adhere to certain laws in order to stay compliant to the regional or international laws related to data management. All these laws require companies to control access to critical data, something which again can be tedious, yet be simplified with the help of a password manager. The current laws related to password management are UNIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, which is a non-regulatory federal agency that promotes innovation and competitiveness of US-based companies. Compliance with NIST standards and guidelines has become an absolute must for high-tech companies and federal agencies. Then Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which focuses on the accounting and finance professionals. It helps prevent corporate scandals of such. The law also mandates a set of information security and password implications. And then there's the PCI DSS. So the enterprises that accept credit card payments must adhere to PCI DSS, the payment card industry data security standard. And companies handling sensitive personal and healthcare data must adhere to the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, which is your HIPAA. And finally, GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation, which is a comprehensive set of standards and guidelines published by the European Parliament in order to protect EU residents' personal data. So, any company that works with the personal data of EU residents should adhere to the GDPR. The laws we've discussed now are just the partial list of regulations that mandate IT security and password management. So, you should have gotten an idea about the different laws that also play a major role when it comes to securing data and handling critical customer data as well, right? So you can also consult your corporate auditor or your legal representative for proper guidance on what kind of laws that you need to adhere to and keep in mind while looking at securing data, right? So just explore all the different laws that you need to follow it. These are just some of the commonly followed laws across the globe. that have been listed out here. This is where a password manager, like I earlier said, can come in handy. A password manager like Zoho Vault can actually be the right fit that could help you with deal, help you deal with all such hassle. And for people who are new to Zoho Vault, Vault is Zoho's in-house password manager that also provides single sign-on solutions. With Vault, you can securely store all your sensitive data without worries, as they are encrypted with AES 256 encryption. Also, as a password manager, Vault secures not only your web credentials but also your license details, bank account details, social security number, healthcare info, Unix Windows credentials, SSH keys, certificates, and a lot more. You can even store your critical files and notes in Vault, which will remain encrypted as well. Again, sharing passwords with Vault is relatively easy and extremely secure. Users can share their passwords with one of four different permissions like one click login, view, edit, and manage permissions. So, what are these permissions like? One click login will ensure that users directly log in and just have access to that particular account, and they would not be able to access your password. So, this way, they're prevented from seeing your passwords in plain text, but you can ensure that they get to access the particular account without knowing the username and password details. And users with view and edit permissions can view and edit the passwords accordingly in your vault, whereas the users with the manage permission get complete access of the password, allowing them to even delete it or reshare it with others. So ensure you select the right permission when you would like to go ahead and share passwords with your teammates. Again, users can directly log into their web accounts in a single click using our browser extensions. Just like I earlier said, that a password manager can, when I was talking about the things that a password manager can do. You need not remember your passwords nor enter your credentials while authenticating to online accounts anymore, which is a cool prospect, right? Similarly, Vault also supports single sign-on for various applications. We'll be discussing about this in detail soon. Users can be added and removed as and when needed to your Vault account. So you can add and remove bulks of users in an instant. This massively helps you with onboarding and offboarding processes. Also, when an employee leaves the company on bad terms, you can immediately acquire all the passwords owned by them and revoke their access to Vault. So the moment their access gets revoked, they stop having access to Vault and thereby to any of your enterprise passwords. This ensures that only the right personnel have access to all your critical information. You can audit every action made on Vault in real time and also track critical events even when you're away by configuring something called alert notification. So what these alerts will do is they will personally notify you on your registered email address stating that so and so actions were done on your Vault account. Would you like to be, would you want to do anything about this? Like it brings to your attention the different actions, like any modifications done to your users passwords or password groups within your Vault account. It'll bring to your notice all such critical events. And you can also customize Vault to specify what features your organization does and doesn't need. So you can exclude features for your users that you think is a bit too much. We have an extensive array of integrations and features which, if you feel are a bit too much, you can go ahead and exclude them as well. So in order to secure your Vault even further, you can go ahead and do that. And also, Vault gives you multiple visual reports that can be viewed specific to a single user's activity or even as an organizational overview. You can monitor a particular user's activity and see all the password categories they have accessed on a regular basis. If you suspect someone being an insider threat, or if you notice any malicious activity or you suspect something, you can do that. You can also monitor the number of passwords that have been unchanged and also notice all the weak passwords in your Vault account. This will help you with enforcing strong password policies across your enterprise. You can enforce strict password policies and make sure that users store passwords which comply to the password policy, thereby eliminating weak passwords completely from your organization. So you would primarily want to get all your work done in an efficient manner, so you can make use of our apps and extensions that will help you wherever you go. Our browser extensions are available for all across all our popular web browsers like Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Microsoft Edge, and you can very well auto log into websites, store passwords on the go, add passwords of new signups to your vault account, and much more. We'll be seeing a mini video clip of it soon. And also you can access our mobile apps which are available for iOS, Android and Windows as well, so you can essentially carry your passwords wherever you go. So let's see how your browser extension works in a mini clip. So we'll just start by telling you how your browser extension helps you generate passwords that are secure whenever you sign up to a new website. So you can sign up to new websites by generating strong passwords through the browser extension. So right next to your password fields, whenever you have your extension active, you'll see the Z icon that will help you, with generating strong passwords. When you click on it, you can generate a password with different policies of your choice. You can populate the password that is generated onto the password field, and you can very well, create a secure password for your account. And whenever you sign up to new websites with Zoho Vault, when you have your extension active, it will track that you're signing into a new website, and it will ask you if you would like to save this password to your Vault account through this pop-up, and you can hit save and it will automatically save it to your Vault account. You can also auto log into favorite websites from your Zoho Vault extension. You can just click on it and select the website you want to log into, click auto log on, and bam, you're already there. You get logged in directly. And finally, whenever you're uh, trying to fill your passwords on an unsecure website, let's say you're being a victim of a phishing attack, Vault will say, you know what, this is not really a secure page. Would you still like to fill your passwords here? This is some option which you can make use of whenever you're, whenever you're coming under any phishing attacks. So there's a lot more features that you can explore from our extension. So make use of all these features that will really come in handy for you. And it also simplifies how you work as an individual or across your team. It increases the productivity of your team and simplifies their work as well. It's not just the browser extensions but also our mobile apps that will help you get your work done wherever you are, regardless of which location you're from. You can carry your passwords and also simplify auto login and autofill of your passwords using your mobile app. Say for example, you're trying to access Twitter, you can pull the username and password from Vault and authenticate here. Simple. That's how simple it is. You can simplify access, and you can also secure how you access all kinds of websites and applications using our browser extensions and mobile apps. This also works for Android as well. You can make use of your mobile apps for Android users as well. So you've seen all the benefits that you get using our different applications, like your browser extensions, mobile applications and all that stuff. Now you would like to know how secure Zoho Vault is after exploring all of these benefits, right? Zoho Vault follows the host-proof hosting concept, and this ensures that all confidential data is encrypted in the browser with AES 256 encryption using the user's passphrase, which only the user knows. The encrypted data is then securely transmitted over SSL and gets stored in Zoho servers. All encryption and decryption takes place in the browser, and while the passphrase that users create is not stored anywhere on the server, meaning even Zoho cannot access your data. Nobody except you can decrypt your data because you know the passphrase and nobody else does. And we have multiple data centers across the globe to help comply with the privacy policies of the users across different regions. For example, an EU user can sign up to Vault from zoho.eu/vault, and this will ensure that their data will reside only in our EU data centers. Similarly, you can choose a data center of your preference to keep your business compliant with regional laws. And also, it's important to note that Zoho Vault is also GDPR compliant. And as I had earlier mentioned, Vault has multiple integration options. Vault integrates with G Suite, Office 365, your Active Directories, from where you can import your users to Vault instantly. So all enterprises should really check these features and integrations for sure. And you can also use our REST API and Python packages with great efficiency. Also, we have our extensions available in Zoho Mail and Zoho Desk to help users have a smooth experience with Vault. So, if you're already using our Zoho products like Desk and Mail, you're gonna love it. Finally, Vault also integrates with SSO apps like Okta and OneLogin. So, there's a lot more to explore. Feel free to just try all these integrations after this session. Well, now we come to the part of single sign-on. The number of websites and services we commonly use for our businesses is just rising by the minute, right? Authentication now has increasingly become a crucial factor in determining the security and also the productivity of an organization than ever before. Of late, the need for centralized login systems have become necessities, and thousands of businesses have already started migrating to one single sign-on solution or the other. This is because SSO deals with establishing the identity of the user and then sharing that information with each subsystem that requires the data, thereby simplifying the authentication process and even the need for multiple passwords. With SSO, your users can log into multiple apps and websites while authenticating just once. Also, SSO is now everywhere. Almost all popular services provide users with the option to log into their service using the active sessions from Google, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and more. Even Google has implemented single sign on, allowing its users to access different services like YouTube, Gmail, Google Drive, and other applications by authenticating just once. And with Zoho Vault, you get a two-in-one solution that addresses your SSO and password management needs together. So this is why it is again a key player when it comes to enterprises. And if you ask me what benefits do I get from implementing single sign-on, like how could it actually help me or my employees? So for starters, you can grant access to multiple apps for bulks of users in an instant. Be it you're in the early phases of setting up your business or you're in the process of expanding it. SSO is vital for your organization as it grants instant access to all of your employees with next to no waiting time. There are many enterprises that lose precious billable hours on employees who wait for days in some cases to get access to business applications before they even start being productive. SSO also eliminates any account creation delay for the new employees, making them productive from day one. You also get to revoke the access of users when they say leave your company or even leave the project for that case. So critical access of all your business accounts, they just remain secure and with the right personnel at all point. So all of this gets done in a pretty simple manner as well. And a simple user interface goes a long way in helping users spend their time productively by concentrating on just the work at hand instead of dealing with an exhaustive list of passwords. You can also save a lot of money by reducing the support calls that are mainly focused on password reset requests, and you can allow your support personnel to focus on burning issues and emergency cases. You can streamline your access management under one roof, and also this will help you with managing multiple passwords. You can just manage multiple accounts with just the use of a single password. Also, authenticating across multiple apps with a single password makes it easier to implement strong password policies, and it will also improve the password habits of users over having to remember multiple credentials for individual services. And finally, yeah, you can also you can also encourage work from home for your employees, as you'll have no issues tracking the user access regardless of where they are working from. So you'll have a free hand in allowing your users to work from wherever they wish to, because when you check the stats say that the employee turnover has been 50% less whenever users opted for the work from home option. Again, all of these benefits come in really handy, and this is how you can improve and uh, make your employees more productive and also increase the positivity across your organization. So we've seen a lot of things today related to password management, as well as how you can eliminate passwords and implement single sign-on solutions. We've just seen and we've just understood how passwords are here to stay for at least the foreseeable future, and why it's really essential to safeguard every critical password that you own. So I've come to the end of the session. If you have any questions further, you can feel free to write to support@zohoworld.com. You can shoot me questions, or if you have any queries with setting up your World account, or even any generic questions, we welcome every single question of yours. Feel free to ask us as many questions as possible. And if you would like to reach out to me related to this session, if there's anything that you would like to talk about this session with me, or if you would like to share your feedbacks, you can always write to me at meenaksr@zohocorp.com. So thank you so much. It's been a wonderful session. It's been really it's extremely nice to talk to you about password security on this day. I hope you gained at least something out of this session. Thank you so much and have a great day.